And the others in your family?
No, the only one living is my oldest sister, who turned 99, and myself. We're the only two of the entire family. And a nephew, Steve's son. That's it. That's family. And because Barbara is from my husband's side, but from my side, we're the only ones. My father went to buy a lot, and they would not sell him a lot.
Because he was Hispanic or
Because
French?
he was not white.
Because he was not white.
So you were in Del Mar and your father wanted to buy a lot in Solana Beach, but they
No,
wouldn't.
my father
In Del
wanted to
Mar?
build
In
here in Del Mar. Oh no, my mother came.
Oh, in Del
My
Mar.
mother fell in love from the time she saw Del Mar, and she wanted to stay here.
Yeah.
You know? And they would not. They were a couple of Hispanic, but they had been here long before. And they were Hispanics, and they were of different. You know, there was a Jewish man, you know, and a lot of those people would not have been here if had been later than when the I think there were 5 big rich guys from Los Angeles, and the ones that have those big homes that you see today, you know.
Yeah, the big ranchos.
And they were the ones that decided that only white were going to.
I know that Colonel Ed Fletcher did the same thing in Solana Beach. In fact, there were some families that lived in certain parts of Solana Beach that were not Eden Gardens. And when he purchased all that land, he made them move to Eden Gardens.
Yeah. Well, see, he was only a worker. He wasn't a colonel either.
I know.
No, he was the worker. And him and his brother-in-law were the workers. And the rich guys just sat back and let him do the dirty work.
You're right.
That was the way the whole system was, you know. And so he took Dad, and Mom said, and in those days the men went and did everything. And Mom said, why didn't you just say, I got to check it over with my wife first, you know? And so I did. And so the only thing that he did was that he placed us as far away from because they knew we wouldn't get along with the other kids because we were so different, you know. We had been raised a lot different with a lot of manners and a lot of different ways of doing things. So Mom did not want to get us involved. We couldn't go to one of the houses of the house. She didn't want us going to any of the houses at all.
So where did you end up living when you were growing up?
Well, we lived there for, let's see, I was 4 and a half, almost 5 when we moved there.
Where?
I was born here and stayed here until I was almost 5. And then from here we went there because they built a house. And then they built a house until I got married. And then I told my husband, I said, yeah, I'll marry you, but you have to build me a house in Del Mar. That's where I want to live. That's where I was born, and that's where I want to live. You know?
So you did live in Eden Gardens from what age to what age?
From, I would say, 5 to 19.
19.
But we didn't, we socialized with them, and they had, you know, events and stuff, but we didn't go to homes with them, no.
What street did you live on?
As you come down, what's the name of it?
Nardo.
Yeah, Nardo. Okay, there's that quarter there.
At Stevens?
Right across from Nardo breaks, right there. For a while there was a house by itself. No, there's a lot of houses. That was our house.
Okay, so right down the hill from...
Yes, from Nardo. And from there all the way to where the park ends, there was either fruit trees or there was something. There was no housing, housing.
And it was a creek.
And there was a big creek, lot of water that came through.
Did you play in the creek like a lot of the other kids did?
No, we just played. My brothers did. No, we didn't. And to go to school, we had some boards so that we could cross when the bus came, because the bus came way over, almost to the center of Eden Gardens. So
Okay.
this is where we had to walk to get on the bus.
So Valley.
Because the other way, as you go down road, now it turns into Stevens. That's downhill. That was it. My brother did very well. He and mom, after my father left, he and mom bought a truck, and they went into the business of the truck for different things, you know, and they did very well. But then rains happened to come shortly after they bought the car, and a rap came on the door one night. It was raining, heavy rain, and there were some people that they looked nice. They tried to go through and they got stuck. And they came over, they saw a truck, and they thought maybe they could help. And Foro says, I had a rope, so I went and I pulled them out.
That's great.
So Mom and I said, wait a minute, let's get the truck fixed to be able to pull people out. They made good money. Because, you know, the rain continued and the water continued before that go down. They don't have it to do. I mean, it could get that high, right in that dip. Oh yeah, there were the 1-2 stores, the other one that was where the men went to play cards and play different men's games. Yeah, so there was 1-2.
Maybe a pool hall? Was there
The
a
pool
pool hall?
hall. Yeah, there was a pool hall, and there were the 2 stores, one at either end. But they were there.
Do you remember?
I worked at the center one next to the pool hall. That's where I worked.
Oh, great.
My sister and I both worked there until.
That's wonderful. Do you remember when Tony Sakal opened? Or were you already
yeah,
there?
Tony Sakala opened in his aunt's little house. It was a little bitty house. A little bitty house, and that's where he opened. Yeah, but he was at the airport before.
Right.
Yeah, he was at the airport before he opened over there, and he was over here at the restaurant, not this restaurant today, but the first restaurant, and that he would work on. But why? You know, we didn't know about this for a long time, but we knew, you know, that her mother was Spaniard. And very light complected, with light blue brown hair and blue eyes, you know that. But she would never talk about her father, you know. And she never talked. I was kind of the one that started. I wanted to know more. I was the nosy one. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more. And so she finally kind of started coming out, you know.
And so he was from where?
She was my grandfather was from Sky City in New Mexico.
New Mexico.
He was you know how they took all those 9-year-old boys.
No.
Oh, you don't know that?
I don't know the story.
My goodness! Then when the Spaniards came here, they started taking them and educating, training them.
Was this the indigenous people?
And for them to teach the Indians Catholic religion. They did it with 9-year-olds. And then after that, the Mexicans, you know, the states were turned over to Mexico. Right. And the Mexicans continued to take them, but they used them as guides because they were such a high IQ that they had. And they took them and used them as guides, and when they were done, you know, like my grandfather, why didn't they tell him where his home was and send him back home? Instead, they sent him to Chihuahua, to a town they had mines, to work at the mines. And
so they, instead of sending it back to New Mexico, they sent him to Chihuahua.
Yes, he never knew where his home was, you know.
Wow.
No, and that kind of got to me, you know, and I didn't like that. I